16-year-old and two 18-year-olds and one 65-year-old. I had a 51 Plymouth car, two-door, and so she's in the back seat with my cousin Joan, the girl, and Orlin and I are both in the front seat, and I'm driving. And so we loaded the load of cattle, and we're leaving now. I remember trying to make a decision at Oswald Road and George Washington, saying, should I go left and go to Township, or should I continue north on George Washington? Well, I decided I knew the road better, I'd go north, and got up probably a mile, half a mile, maybe a mile, and water started coming across the road, and about a 3-foot wall came rushing across, and that was it. Took the car, pushed it off nose first down off the left side of the street or highway. At that point, got out and said, could we stand? And I got out, walked in the back of the car, and sure enough, we could stand up. The water was still it wasn't rushing, so it was being broken by the trees, the orchard on the right-hand side of the highway, and therefore we could get out and walk. Well, my grandmother said, well, I can't walk. Well, yes, you can. We can hold you. Well, here's my cousin in this cast, but he had hip boots on. I think I did too, because I don't ever remember getting my feet wet. It's amazing. The water had to be just at thigh level. And we walked about 100 yards, and that building still stands out there on George Washington today. And so we probably walked 100 yards, and my car went off the side of the road. We held arms and got to the building. I don't know who owned it then. I don't know who owns it today, but that building had a lock on the door, but next to the door was a crowbar, just like it was there. Took the crowbar, broke the lock, we got inside, and said, well, we better get up in the rafters because we don't know how high the water is going to come. Well, all during the night or the dark hours, the water continued to rise, and so we knocked a hole in the roof, and two of my cousin and I both got on the roof, and my grandmother and my girl cousin Joan stayed in the rafters there. And I remember as first break of daylight, the sky was blue. It was quiet. Just you heard was the sound of water rising and things falling over. The building was not moving. It was pretty good at that point. We realized that things were not causing it to go. It didn't like the water wasn't rushing by us. I look back at it now and say that I was glad that building was there. So soon thereafter, the sky filled with looked like World War II air fights, airplanes everywhere flying over, assessing the damage and how much water was spilled. So we were in there and in that barn or in that shed for quite a few hours, and a helicopter came, and I can remember they lowered the seat down and going to take us out. And my grandmother said, at my age, I've never flown, and I'm not flying now. So we waved him off. So we stayed, and it was at 1 o'clock when an Army duck came, and there's a picture, and I remember it was in the Sacramento Bee of myself and a soldier packing my grandmother out of the building and putting her in the Army duck.